The Cat by the Clock Tower. In the heart of a quiet town stood an old stone clock tower, surrounded by winding streets, rustling trees, and stories too soft for anyone to remember. Beneath that tower, in the hollow between its brick foundation and the cobbled walkway, lived a tiny calico kitten named Clover. Clover had no mother she could remember, no littermates, no home. She had come into the world during a thunderstorm. Or so, said the baker who found her, drenched and trembling, behind a flour sack one morning. She was too small to even meow, just a squeak in the shadows. But Clover survived. The baker fed her bits of bread crust. The florist across the street left out water in a chipped porcelain bowl. The old man who carved wooden toys let her sleep in his window when the rain came. She belonged to no one, but she was loved in the way that the town loved soft things. In passing, with kindness, but never commitment. Then, one morning, Clover met her person. Her name was Ilia. She was 8 years old, wore a red raincoat even on sunny days, and spoke softly, like she was always halfway into a dream. Ilia was different from the others. She didn't just pat Clover's head or toss her food. She sat on the cold stones and whispered stories into Clover's ear, stories of dragons made of fog, and towers that could sing, and cats that were really starlight in disguise. Clover listened. She always listened. Soon, the clock tower became their meeting place. Every day after school, Ilia came with a notebook in her hand and a snack in her pocket. A biscuit, sometimes a piece of apple, once even a tiny cupcake with a swirl of blue icing, and Clover came running at the sound of her footsteps. She would sit in Ilia's lap while the girl read aloud, or told stories made up on the spot, or just sat in silence, humming. "I think you're magic," Ilia whispered one day, pressing her forehead to Clover's. "Because when you're here, I don't feel so heavy." Clover didn't know what heavy meant, but she purred, loud and full and warm, and Ilia smiled. Days passed like petals falling. Then one day, Ilia didn't come. Clover waited by the clock tower until the shadow of the tower stretched long and thin, then disappeared into dusk. She came back the next day, and the next. Sometimes she wandered toward Ilia's house, a pale blue cottage just beyond the bakery. The windows stayed closed. No red coat, no stories, no humming. The florist whispered to the baker. The toy carver stopped smiling. Something quiet and terrible had happened, but no one wanted to say it out loud. One morning, the clock tower struck 3 o'clock, and Clover turned her head, and there she was, Ilia's mother. She walked slowly, clutching something in her hands. She knelt beside the clock tower, her eyes swollen, her breath shaking. She set down Ilia's red raincoat, folded carefully, and a small, soft notebook, and beside it she placed a photograph of Ilia holding Clover, both of them smiling as if time didn't exist. "I thought you should have this," she whispered, not expecting the kitten to understand. "She would have wanted you to have it." Then she stood, and she walked away. Clover didn't understand why Ilia didn't come anymore. She only knew that she was gone. The kind of gone that lives in quiet places. The kind that doesn't return. Still, Clover stayed by the clock tower. She curled up on the red coat every afternoon. She licked the corner of the photograph. She purred softly as if the air might remember what it was like to hold her friend. Seasons turned, children grew, shopkeepers changed, but Clover remained. She was no longer a kitten. Her fur grew thin in places. She moved slower, limped a little. But every day at 3 o'clock, she sat by the tower, waiting. Some days, children came and played near her. She didn't mind. One girl left a little drawing of a cat with a crown and called it Queen Clover. Another boy left a sandwich and whispered, My mom said you were someone's best friend, but the only one Clover waited for never returned. One winter, the snow came early, heavy and white and quiet. Clover curled beneath the coat that had long since lost its red. She closed her eyes and dreamed of humming and notebook paper and tiny blue cupcakes. She didn't wake again. The town held a small ceremony. Nothing grand. Just a few candles near the clock tower, a stone with a paw print carved into it, an Ilias photograph placed gently in a new frame, and when the clock struck 3 o'clock, every day, the tower bell echoed with a new kind of softness, a memory, perhaps, ringing on through time. If you walk by the tower now, you might hear it. You might feel it in your chest, the faint purring of a friendship that never truly faded, because some stories, like some cats, never leave the place where they were most loved.